On a night much like tonight, I literally had time to grab two things. One of them was not my clothing, and the other was a flashlight. Trish and I had just barely dozed off when I was woken up by a commotion. This was about midnight, and it was the turkeys and the chickens, and something was spooking them, bothering them. So I jumped to my feet, literally grabbed a flashlight, came downstairs, grabbed the rifle, and came outside in my underwear. Because we've been through this before, didn't want to have, dead turkeys on our hands or dead chickens. Came out the door and started to slowly walk toward the chicken coop. So I start scanning the area looking for anything that might be out there. I've got rabbits over here, I've got a goat over there. It had just stormed all day long. The ground was sopping wet. It was cold. I'm in my underwear. Thank goodness we live out in the middle of nowhere. Cars aren't driving by. It was, middle of the night. But I'm freaking out. Like, what's gonna jump out at me? A coyote? Who knows what? Fox? Birds flying everywhere. This was not exciting. My hands were shaking. I didn't want to shoot the wrong animal. And then at the same time, I had to be quick in case it did get a bird. So I'm quickly coming over here by the pig pen because I saw some birds on the ground over here. I figured it was close to that. It was trying to get in. As I come around this side, didn't see anything over here. See how the turkeys are all roosting nice and comfy together? No, they were all over, spread out. Something really spooked him. Durango was here at the time. He's gone now, but so this was all fenced off. Durango was alert. Wasn't super bothered, but he knew something was out there. He was an old man. He was like, nothing's gonna bother me. I stink too much. So I was slowly coming around this corner. Had the flashlight down here, and as I brought it up to right about the bottom of that fence, there was a pair of eyes staring right at me. No idea what it was. It wasn't moving. I think the light was so bright it just was stunned. So I'm fidgeting with the rifle, making sure the safety's off, and I got a round in the chamber, and I bring the rifle up to my eye. It's got a scope on it. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to see, but the light was bright enough I could see clear as day through that scope. And from here to there, that's 20 feet, not very far at all. So I bring the scope up. He's right in my crosshairs, hasn't moved an inch. I didn't know what it was. It had a mask. I thought maybe, dark eyes, dark hair around the eyes or whatever. I thought maybe a raccoon, but then it didn't quite look like that. So anyway, I took a shot, and I wasn't sure I hit it, to be honest. It didn't act like I hit it. It just quickly ran over there. So I'm like, great. Did I get it or didn't I? And so I come over here because I'm afraid it's going to run off over here. Got the flashlight on this end. I have to come around all this fencing because Durango's here. I'm in bare feet. Ground's not that comfortable. Weeds everywhere. Sharp sticks. And so I start shining the light down here, and I shine down there, and there's the same pair of eyes looking at me again, and it's not moving. So this fencing was standing straight up, this fencing leaning over, so it was in between the two of them. Brought the rifle up again, took another shot, and it ran back the other way. I'm like, great. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I at least got it. I don't know if I got it in any vitals, but I know I hit it. How could I miss that? I had just sighted in the scope 2 days prior. I knew it was close enough. So I waited here for a second. I let the light down. I didn't want to push it too far away. So I thought I'd give it a minute. So I waited what felt like forever. I'm sure it was only 30 seconds. And then I started coming back around here to the other side. Holding the flashlight with one hand that's supporting the rifle. Don't see anything. And as I come right over here, it runs off back around the corner. I'm like, great. I'm like, man, did I even hit it? It wasn't screaming, it wasn't growling, nothing. And so I kind of slowly got a little bit closer right here, and right about here, I saw a pool of blood. Not a big one, but enough blood to know I got it, and I got it pretty good. So I came over here, and I'm just being slow. And then there it was right there, and it was just curled up right by the back of the pig pen. It wasn't moving. It wasn't even looking at me, but it was still standing up. So I didn't want to take a shot because I didn't know if Durango was on the other side of that wood. So I decided not to shoot it. With as much blood as I saw, I knew I'd gotten it. It wasn't running away from me. So I decided to leave it alone. Felt comfortable enough that it wasn't going to do anything. While I left it there, I started scanning the area, looking for any turkeys that may have jumped out, or that maybe it had gotten inside and dragged one out. I didn't see any feathers, especially down there by the pond. Let's see if I can get this brighter. Yeah, you see how bright that is? It lights up the whole flipping pasture. Didn't see any sign of anything, so I felt good about that. Came back over here, started counting birds, felt good with the numbers. It was late. I had work early in the next morning. I decided to call it. So where was I? I shot it. There was lots of blood. It was cold. I was in my underwear. I decided to leave it and come back inside and go to bed. Luckily, it wasn't a bad decision because we didn't lose anything, and the next morning it was still laying right where I left it. Ends up being a badger, which I've never seen before in person, and didn't realize that was what it was last night. We ended up skinning it, and man, those suckers are thick. They've got some muscle on them. Big, stocky little animal. Which, interesting fact, up until recently they've been thought to be related to weasels. Weasels? But DNA evidence has proved that they're related to skunks. Anyway, here's a couple pictures of the skinning, and you can kind of see a comparison of the claws and the paw to my hand. When I skinned it and realized, how beefy those things are, I was surprised that I was as close as I was to it without it coming after me. If it had come after me, I think it could have really tore into me. So I don't know how aggressive they are. This one wasn't that aggressive, but I really think a lot of it had to do with a bright light shining in its face. So a flashlight and my underwear saved some birds that night. Now, normally I wouldn't be too concerned because everything was within that netting that's usually electrified, but it's been so dry lately that we haven't been able to get good ground conductivity to make it work. So the fence was not electrified that night. That's partly why I was so desperate to get out there and stop whatever was trying to get in. Even though it had rained all that day. So yeah, anyway, it is electrified now. So let me get a little bit nerdy about flashlights. I really like a good quality flashlight. I've had this flashlight I have two of them. Trish has one, I have one. And we've had them for 2 years. And in fact, yeah, 2 years, going on 3 years actually. This one's made by Through Night. It's a model TC12 version 2. This will put out 1,000 lumens, 1,000 to 1,100 lumens. It's waterproof, impact resistant. I like the little clicky knob on the back. But this thing's been through a lot. I've had it down rabbit holes. Trish lost hers in the snow last year. We ran over it with the four-wheeler, couldn't find it. I was, going over it plowing and everything. Anyway, we found it like a month later in the snow, and it still works, no problem. So really like it. They run off a battery, one of these big bad boys, 18650. These put out a lot of power, and they're rechargeable. In fact, you can recharge it by plugging it into your computer or laptop if you want. It's a micro USB port on here. Comes with a little carry case with a belt loop. Really, really like it. They're impact resistant, good light. Through Night, I guess, through watching our videos, found out that we like their flashlights. So they sent me a new flashlight that they've recently put out to review. I've had this for a couple of weeks now. This is the Through Night TC15. This bad boy will do 2,300 lumens. And I'll go outside and show you the difference between the two. This thing will light up your neighborhood. It's flipping amazing. It's shorter than the TC12, a little bit lighter. I think it's around 17 grams. Waterproof, impact resistant. One thing that it doesn't have that I like on the TC12, I like this positive clicky button to turn it on and off. Instantly turn it on and off with that. I like that because I can use my thumb and I can hold it like this. That came in real handy when I was holding the rifle and whatnot. This one you just click right here and it turns on. They both have what's called, another feature I really like is a mode called Firefly, and that's where it's like 1 lumen. You can turn it on, it'll just turn on to 1 lumen. So there we go. It's 1 lumen, barely light, so it's wonderful if you're get up in the middle of the night, you don't want to wake your partner up, or if you're in a tent, you don't want to wake the rest of the family up by shining some bright, stupid light all over everyone's face. But it's just enough light to see where you need to go and move around, grab your keys, whatever you got to do, that kind of thing. I think everybody can relate to that. Love Firefly mode. And then it's got multiple brightness levels, low, medium, high, and then turbo, 2,300 freaking lumens. It's awesome. Really, really like this light and use it all the time. The kids use them. Very durable, rechargeable. You can get spare 18650 lithium ion rechargeable batteries. We've got a couple of them. I keep them on a charger, so there's always a battery ready to go, but they last, if you're not using it on the brightest setting, they last quite a while. Days on the low setting and hours on medium and high, and I think you can only run on turbo, the brightest setting, for a few minutes. I'm not sure exactly how many, but a few before it will overheat and drop itself down to a lower level. But amazing flashlights. I'm going to leave a link in the description to these. Leave a link to these in the description below. Feel free to check them out. Through Night, the TC12, and their new custom TC15 Custom. The custom model gives you this cool color, a nice cool little logo on there. This is quickly becoming my favorite. It's just a little bit shorter. The only thing, like I said, I don't like is it doesn't have a clicky button on the back. Thanks for joining us on our crazy adventure. I hope you enjoyed this little story, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. This is the TC12. That's low, medium, high, and full brightness. You can see how well it lights that up. Boy, if there's any predators out there, you're gonna see eyes like nothing else. They'll shine right back at you. It's really easy to spot them. So now, let me bring up the TC15. That's low. Oops. So low, medium, high, and turbo. 2300 lumens. Bit of a brighter spread on that one than the TC12, I think. Look at those trees, how well it lights those up. And those are good. That's a good 40 yards from me to that rabbit pen. So 50 yards to the back of that rabbit pen. Pretty decent.